I couldn't make faster decisions until I learned that it's not about making a pros and cons list before the decision and then hoping that it works out. It's making a decision and then living with the results and the outcome of that decision and then shaping it and controlling it into the route that you need it to go in. This is such a big topic to me. When I was growing up, I was very scared of making mistakes. I was very wanting to make sure that I never did the wrong thing. I never wanted to upset anybody. I never wanted to make a decision that would end up hurting someone or was wrong or was bad financially or whatever it was. And so I ended up just stopped making a lot of decisions and just went more go with the flow. I was a little bit more of a passive child. I was pretty crazy and wild, but there were certain things where I would just stop, become passive, and I didn't want to make a decision because there's too many variables involved. There was too much happening. Honestly, I just didn't want to do the wrong thing. And so this has carried with me over the years into business, into entrepreneurship. I have found that it has been a really big roadblock that I've spent the past 5 to 7 years trying to overcome. And I feel like in the past 6 months, I'm finally starting to slowly get on the other side of what it means to make a decision and stick with it, and then navigate the outcome of that decision to the desired goal that you need it to get to, versus being so deathly scared that I was going to make a wrong choice, or I was going to lose money here, or I wasn't going to make the right decision and my future was going to be screwed. And so I wanted to come on and make a video about things that have helped me that I found really start to shift my perspective around decision making. Because in the world of business, entrepreneurship, life, honestly, being able to move fast with a lot of speed and being able to stay lean is a serious competitive advantage. But I kept running into this brick wall of being absolutely terrified making these micro decisions all day long. I'm going to share with you guys a lot of the frustrations and things that led me to this point that I think a lot of you will be able to relate with. When I first started working in the digital marketing agency space, which is a very fast-paced and rapid environment where you have to make decisions all day long, constantly, big decisions too. Some of them can make or break several $100,000. So big decisions all day long. And when I first started working in there, I was stunned with fear of making any decisions. I didn't want to make a call on this one advertisement, or I didn't know what to do over here, so I just got imposter syndrome and I just stopped touching that area because I didn't need to deal with that. And then what I saw, all of these people around me were moving super fast. They were making great results happen. And I would get on calls with them. Some of the times, not all the time, I was able to think at a way more deep level than they were about the thing they were making all these decisions on. How is it that all of these people who are crushing it, doing really well for themselves, making all of these decisions all day long that have really large consequences, they're not even fully informed about everything. They're just making decisions. Obviously, that's not true in the sense of they weren't informed, but they were just gambling. It was just oh, we just have to make a decision, let's make one, and then they moved on to the next one. And I just was so confused. I was frustrated too, because it was how can somebody make decisions so quickly with consequences that are deeply financial, potentially personal, whatever. It was just confusing to me. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know what was going on, or even if that's something a person should even do. But for me, I was freezing up, I was moving at a way slower rate, I couldn't quite catch up, and I was just confused because I was basically playing the devil's advocate on everything. What if this data is not accurate and we're making bad decisions here? So I'd go and redo the data and do all this and I'd do all that, and I would try to go do the deep research and find the right answers, try to get to the point of absolute control so that I could make a decision that would be perfect. And it never happened. And so this started to bring on a deep curiosity and observing those people around me of how are they able to do that when I'm over here just freezing up and I can't make these decisions fast enough and keep up with the agency world. Something's got to change. Something has to move. One time it really struck me where I was talking with somebody higher up in the company, and they had said one thing about this one department of the agency. And then I had another conversation with them about a year and a half later, and they had completely switched their perspective on it. And this whole time I thought that they were locked in on this one way of thinking about this one thing. I was acting and behaving according to that. But then they were like, no, it's this. And I was like, but you had mentioned, they're like, no, it's this way. That boggled me at first. I was a little bit frustrated at first, but then it started to click. It was kind of this idea of, look, we're moving all at a really fast pace. Nobody fully knows what's going on. We're running advertisements. We're using marketing fundamentals. We're helping clients look at their financials. We're doing everything as best as we possibly can. But at the end of the day, we can't control it. We can't control the results. We can control the input and the output that can hopefully create the best outcome, but we can't control the outcome. It started to click, okay, this whole growth thing and learning how to make better decisions faster is fluid. This idea where I don't need to be so tied to a specific way of doing something. I just need to make the decision and then figure out what to do after that. And it goes to a quote that I'm only going to paraphrase. It's basically mess around and find out. It's what it is. And so what happened was over the following years, and especially over the past few 6 months, it's, oh my gosh, we are all educating ourselves. We are all getting a lot done here. But at the end of the day, nobody knows what's going on. We all don't know how to completely 100% control a situation, no matter how much evidence or how much certainty or how much objectivity we have in a situation. Nobody knows. And so that became a freedom almost of, whoa, okay, I'm not supposed to know. I do not have the burden on my shoulders. I have to know everything, and I need to know for a fact that it's going to output X, Y, Z. And it started to make so much more sense that these people weren't just making dumb decisions or just trying to, make ill-informed decisions with tens of thousands of dollars. It was more about the fact that you can't control it all. But what you do is you input the right best principles, the best practices that you have, you educate yourself as much as humanly possible, and then you have to decide. For me, it was, I would always make these pros and cons lists, and if I couldn't do that because there was too many variables, I just wouldn't make the decision. But then you never find out what's on the other side. I never knew what would happen if I spent that advertising budget, or if I did test this one thing. Looking back on my career thus far within marketing, all of the best things that have ever come have honestly just been from tinkering around, sort of messing around and finding out. That has just been a massive unlock for me. I really wanted to share with you guys because the serious amount of momentum that comes with being able to make decisions faster, whether it's what to do with an employee, what to do with hiring or firing an employee, what to do with this new advertising, do I use this software, what camera do I need to buy, how is this business plan going to work, whatever it may be. I'm not super duper informed on everything ever, but I can make a decision, find out what happens on the other side of that decision. Sometimes it doesn't feel good. Sometimes it hurts and it does leave a short-term consequence. But the insight that you now have inside your mind is 100 times more valuable. The insight that I gained from stepping across that bridge of the decision and learning with firsthand experience what that feels like and what resulted from the action that I took is 100% times more valuable than someone just trying to tell me, or I read it in a textbook somewhere. Because now it's ingrained into my subconscious, and when I go to make more decisions in the future, I'm able to think back to those times of how I felt, how it turned out, and they're way more ingrained in my memory, and I can start making smarter choices and smarter decisions as I go along. There's this quote that my dad told me. I have no idea what book it's from, but basically they did a bunch of reviews of CEOs and people who are making multi-million-dollar, $100 million decisions on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. And they essentially found 1/3 of the time they were wrong. And so there's such a freedom of, you're gonna be wrong about 1/3 of the time anyway. So educate yourself, go and just try it and just make that decision. I want to go back to that one thing I mentioned about momentum, which was there's a really positive reinforcing feedback loop that happens. I found is that when I make decisions because I need to make them faster, but I started to realize and accept the freedom of nobody knows anything. You can't control the outcome. You're going to be wrong about 1/3 of the time anyways. What happened was I would make a small decision. It wasn't that bad. It was fine. And then I make another decision. It was just as fine. And maybe I get a few more decisions in and then, I did one thing wrong. Okay, cool. I can reverse that or find out how to change that and redirect it to where I need it to go. Cool. And then I would keep making these decisions. And there was this phenomenally beautiful and positive feedback loop that I felt on an emotional level. It's very motivating when I've accepted those facts about how it all works. Actually, not, there's some people out there with some secret knowledge that can really make the most killer decisions. No, they've just tried a bunch of stuff and failed a lot more. When I accepted all that and I got those small wins as I went along, it just became so clear that this momentum, this fast-paced decision making was so freeing, and it was just kind of addicting. And it really helps encourage making more of those decisions and being able to find out what's on the other side of that so that you can be more experienced and not just sit behind my little comfortable wall and never making a wrong decision, never making anybody upset, never making any enemies. That's just living life wrapped in bubble wrap, sitting in the corner of the room. And one of the biggest unlocks that I've found going into 2025 is just, it's not that I'm just brute forcing it, making it faster, it's just faster, because I don't know what I don't know. And so whenever I try something, I just find out. If it wasn't what I wanted, I do some more research and then I try it differently. It's so simple, but like for years, I could not get this. I could not understand it. I just hope this can be really helpful for you guys. I hope that you're able to get more momentum in your business, in your job, in life, and whatever it is, of just saying, hey, accepting with humility the idea that you can't control the outcome. You can only control what you can control. And then going forth and trying some stuff. Some financial, some relational, some material, some whatever. Just trying stuff. And it's just been this addicting reinforcement cycle, positive reinforcement cycle of, okay, cool. I found out and now I'm gonna proceed and I can move forward way faster. So that's a whole perspective shift that I thought I would mention. So cool. I hope this helped. I hope this helps you live a more fulfilling day-to-day life. And I hope this helps you live a little bit more present.